Alright, guys, so just I pray if you are confused, if you are hurting, if you are lost, that you just hear me. And I pray that you can hear tonight and take something away and be encouraged by it. That that you can make it, that you will make it, that there's an end, that your pain has an end, and you're gonna make it through. Um, oh, if you are normally a note taker, I'm just gonna ask that you please put your pen and paper to the side for tonight, and that you just listen and just hear my words. I'm praying that your questions are answered, that you and me viewing this, that we can connect on some level, that you can connect to me and my story, that you can envision the vision I have for Midnight Church, and where this is going to go, where I want it to go, that I just want it to reach people. And I'm just praying for that tonight, that the Spirit speaks through me, uses my mouth and tongue, and connects with you. Um, so, who am I? First off, my name is Matthew Blaze, and I lead Midnight Church that you're tuned into right now. It happens every Wednesday night at midnight. And yes, there is a reason for that. There's a reason it happens at midnight. And reason is because I understand. I know. I've been that one that's been up late at night, can't fall asleep, or just never sleeps. Um, on my phone, either doing the wrong thing, watching the wrong things, just depressed and alone. And I created Midnight Church to be a source late in the night where the enemy is the strongest and attacking the most, to reach out to people, to reach out to you, for people to hear something that was encouraging and not constantly negative and just them battling in their heads, and to give a safe space to come to. Um, I built Midnight Church strictly off of my conviction. What conviction? Well, because I understand in that I was the one. I was that guy battling. I was like you, battling with things, not knowing where to turn to, not turning to the wrong things to deal with them. And ever since I started this, I want you to know, yes, 63,000 followers is awesome. 102 of you tuned in right now live. That's awesome. Truly, I'm blessed. But all I care about is that one. I care about that one viewer, that one person tuning into a live. If I post a video and just one person sees it, that's good enough for me, because I remember being that one and needing something like that. So my story starts back. Really, I lived a normal life through middle school and high school. I was a baseball player. I was a high school athlete. Never really considered myself part of the popular group, but I was connected to them, I guess, in some way because of being on the baseball team and stuff, but never a part of that high crowd. I lived a pretty normal life, man. Like, to be honest, there was nothing crazy about it. Um, where I think truly my testimony begins is my freshman year of college. I've never experienced any sort of real bad hurt or pain and or heavy loss of some kind, right? Well, so there was this woman that I was very close to. Her name was Diana Hussey, and she was very close to me. I was very close to her. Um, besides my biological mom, I really truly considered her a mother figure of mine in my life. And she was the nicest, sweetest person, most genuine person I think I felt like I had in my life. And she was above all, the epitome of a Christian to me. She prayed all the time. She showed love all the time. She showed forgiveness all the time. she was the epitome of what a Christian person was to me. And that's what I strived to be like, even though I knew I would never be up to her level. So that was my idol. That was the person I idolized. And so I remember freshman year rolls around. I'm playing college ball at Huntington College in Montgomery. I'm just doing my thing, trying to battle it out, trying to be a varsity player, trying to be the next big thing, you know. And I was sitting in my biology class, my biology class, and it was 11:52. I still remember the exact time I got the call. But 11:52, I get a call from my real mom, my biological mom, and she says, "Hey, what are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm in class right now." And she was like, "Okay, well, I just want you to know that something happened, and I hope you're ready to hear it." It's like, okay, because instantly I'm like, all right, somebody's in the hospital, somebody's hurt. I'm thinking to my household family, somebody's in the hospital, something's happened. And the next thing she said altered my life. It rocked me to my core. It honestly made me lose sight of reality. She said Diana passed away, and I was like, of course I was shook. Obviously she was young, so she wasn't gonna die of old age or anything. And once I kind of sucked it up, I was like, okay, what happened? Like how? I got to the how part, and she said, well, she took her own life, Matthew. Her husband found her, and she was hanging in the closet. And man, I can't. I remember just not knowing what to think, not knowing what to say. I don't think I said anything back. I just hung up the phone. I stood up and walked right out of class. Just walked out. And my professor yelled at me. And I remember not even caring or hearing him, honestly. I didn't even hear a word he said. And I instantly just started driving home to Birmingham. And I called my baseball coach on the way home and was like, hey, I'm not going to be back for a week or two. And of course, he's, why? Like, we're coming up on season, whatever. And I was like, um, my mom just killed herself. And I remember he was a genuine father figure in that moment, and told me to take off as much time as I needed and to just let him know when I was coming back. And that whole drive home, I just questioned God. I questioned reality, because instantly the pit I fell into that was the epitome of a Christian in my life. That was as good as it gets. I wasn't ever going to get that good. And she still committed the cardinal sin and took her own life. And now she's banished to hell. And I'm not saying that's what actually happens. I'm just saying that was my thought process. That's what I was thinking in the moment. And I immediately lost hope. I was like, if she can't do it, I'm doomed. There's no chance. I'm not making it. Because I won't ever get that good, and she still failed. So that whole drive home, I just completely lost touch. I felt like that drive home, I was driving out of the world. I drove out of reality. I lost sense of reality. I lost sense of my faith and hope, what hope was, all of it. It was all just gone in that moment, in that drive home. And instantly, after it all happened and I returned to campus, the way I dealt with it was alcohol. I was already a college baseball player. I already had access to the party crowds. Obviously, on the baseball team, you've got freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, all the way up. So you've got juniors and seniors who are over age and can purchase, and I could get alcohol basically free anytime I wanted to get it. and that was my band-aid. That was how I dealt with pain. That was how I dealt with it. That's how I numbed it up. And yeah, it just never stopped. And I remember it lasted long enough and it got bad enough that I had to have a meeting with my head coach. And he sat me down and he was like, "Man, we can see it. Like, what's going on? Why? We know what happened, but now there's something else. What's going on with you? Because you're not getting over this, and we can see it. We can see the hurt. We can see, like, Matthew, we know you're showing up to class drunk. We know you're coming to practice drunk. We know that you're purposely missing these games. We know these, like, we can see it, man. You can't hide this." And I just remember in the back of my mind, I was like, "You are a hell of a father figure, and you're doing awesome, but I just don't want help. I don't want to be helped right now. I want to live in this. I want to hurt." And I just remember thinking that, but then also being mad for thinking that. Like, why do you want to keep hurting? And it's not until now that I can look back on it and say that's every bit of the enemy wanting to push you further down and convince you that you deserve this. Convince you that you're not going to make it. And I was in that loophole of just, I don't want help. I don't want help. I don't deserve help. I'm not going to get out of this. I'm doomed. And just staying in that constant loophole. And, well, anyways, this went on for a while and long enough that, actually, we used to love going, because I went to school in downtown Montgomery, and we used to love going downtown late at night and seeing all the downtown lights. And if you know Montgomery at all, really, you'd only know Montgomery if you're from Alabama, but it is all business. Montgomery as a city is mostly all business buildings. So when it's late at night, nobody lives in Montgomery. So it's just a ghost town. It's a concrete jungle, is what we always called it. So we'd love to go downtown and mess around and fool. There was a parking garage that we always loved to go to. We'd always sit up top, play music, chill out, whatever. I'd always have some drinks, and well, we'd always constantly go there, and I'd always be the instigator of, "Hey, let's go there, let's go there," and we'd always constantly do that. I was always be the one wanting to go there, and what I knew, I was doing that none of my friends knew, none of my best friends knew, and this is the conviction that's laid on my heart and why I started Midnight Churches. What I was doing was I was planning out my last night. I was planning out my last day. I was planning out my last drink. And I wanted to piss off God. I wanted to piss him off, and I wanted to ruin the one gift that he gave me, which was my life and my body. And my friends never knew that. They never caught on to it. They never caught a single sense of it. And the fact that I was able to manipulate them in that way, and not even just them, but my family too. I had my family convinced that nothing was wrong, that I was doing okay and dealing with it fine. And it's that conviction that's laid on my heart of, I know there's people out there doing the same thing that I'm just after, and I want to reach out to you, and I want to reach you because I know what it's like. I know how it's done. I did it. I had everybody fooled. And there was a night that I went out there, and it was the night, and I went out there by myself. I didn't ask friends to come. I didn't ask anybody to come with me. And I went out there by myself, drunk drove there, and I got up on a part of the top corner. There was like these corner pillars to the parking garage, right? And there was a way I could climb up on a fence and climb up on this top part to be a little higher than the actual parking garage itself. And I stood up on the corner, man, and I had a drink in hand, and I was like, this is the night, this is it. It's over, and I'm gonna piss you off, God. You see this body and life you gave me, it's done for. It's over, and I'm gonna end it, not you. And that was just my attitude. And I just remember looking straight up and going, if you got anything to say, God, if you got anything to say right now, you better say it right now. You better do it right now. And this is why I believe it is not wrong to challenge God, to ask Him to show up. I feel like sometimes people get timid and, well, you can't challenge God. You can't dare Him to show up. Well, let me tell you how I did. I dared Him to show up. I challenged Him. Sure, maybe it was with anger and the wrong intent, but guess what? He showed up. And I stood there, and I remember when I dared Him to show up and I dared Him to say something before I was about to push my weight over off the ledge. It was the very, softest of breezes that can happen, but downtown Montgomery, it's never windy. It is dead silent. And it was a gentle breeze that went straight against my chest in the opposite direction of the edge. And instantly, chill bumps everywhere up my spine, just everywhere. And I could feel my shirt, as soft as a breeze as it was, it felt like my shirt was being tugged. And instantly, I knew it was Him. It wasn't a physical thing that I felt Him there. It was a spiritual awakening of He's real. It was just an internal thing of, this isn't that you just dared Him to show up, and He did. Like, he is practically standing next to you. And I wasn't happy about it. It didn't excite me. It didn't make me happy. In fact, it pissed me off. It made me so angry because I was like, you waited till right now, when I'm standing on a ledge about to take the life you gave me, for you to show up. You didn't show up when I asked you to. You didn't show up for Diana. You didn't show up on those nights I was drinking myself to death and showing up to practice drunk and showing up to class drunk, and now I'm failing out of college. You didn't show up any of that, but now you show up now? Now you're gonna actually show up? Now you got the balls to actually say something? And it made me mad. But guess what it did? It made me mad enough that I stepped off that ledge. I got back in my car. I drove home and I went to sleep. It saved my life. He showed up and saved my life that night. And I'm here because of that gentle breeze, because of that whisper. And it instantly reminded me of the verse of when the man was in the cave and there was a loud earthquake outside and then a loud fire, and God wasn't involved in any of that. But then there was a gentle whisper, and God spoke to him in that. That's instantly, I remember thinking of that. It's like, he wasn't in any of the chaos. He wasn't in the loudness. He wasn't in the loud drinking, the loud profanity, the big things I expected him to show up in. But he showed up with a whisper, and it was a powerful whisper. It was a rightly timed whisper. It was a perfectly timed whisper. And he gave so much power in that little show of effort. And anyways, like I said, it got me off that ledge, but I was also angry. I was very angry still. And the drinking continued. The anger continued. And it went another, I think it was like a week after that, actually. A week or two after that. Still drinking, still doing crazy stuff. Spring break comes around. And well, because of all this stuff, all the drinking, I'm failing my classes. I have not given a rip about baseball. I haven't progressed at all. I've got so much worse in baseball because I haven't been working on it. I'm not on varsity. My velo velocity as a pitcher is awful. I'm just I'm not in a good spot, so I'm not playing at all. So spring break, I'm getting to enjoy my spring break while everybody else is off playing. And I ended up going to the beach, go down to the beach for spring break again with some more of the my Huntington people and a few others, and I get obliterated. I get slaughtered. Not gonna even try to sugarcoat it. I get messed up down at the beach so bad to the point that I got sick as a dog, both from the alcohol and from the sun. I got sun poisoning plus drunk every day. It was bad. I don't know if any of y'all actually like to try to even describe how much I was drinking. I don't know if y'all have ever heard of bootleggers, but they're these little bottles like this, yay big, and they sell them in gas stations. And they're like $1, but they're very high in alcohol percentage. And I remember I took like 40. I mean, I walked into a gas station and bought like everything they had and bought like $40 worth of these things. I'd wake up in the morning, drink one. Then I'd crack another one and drink it along with the breakfast I ate. The first one I would like gulp it down, chug it to get drunk for the morning. Then I'd sip on one as I ate my breakfast food. And then it was straight, like breakfast was all I ate. Then it was alcohol straight after that. And gosh, it was just an unfathomable amount. But so that's going on all through the spring break up until the end. I get so sick, go so sick from the alcohol, from sun poisoning. Um, I actually end up leaving and heading back home to Birmingham earlier than I was supposed to. And because of that, when I got back to Birmingham, it was a Saturday night, and I wasn't supposed to be back till like Monday. So because of that, I was back in Birmingham before Sunday church. And I hadn't stepped foot in church since I started college. I kind of fell away from it, fell away from my faith because I wasn't being forced to go by my parents. And I hadn't stepped foot in a church in almost 6 months, and or more than that, like 8 months, 6 or 8 months, somewhere in there. And so I show up to church reluctantly. Show up to church. My mom has to force me to go because again, I want nothing to do with God. He's my enemy. I truly considered him an enemy of mine. I hated him, and that's kind of how the way I took it after the night on the ledge was. I acknowledge your existence, but you're not my friend. You're not my ally. I hate you. You took Diana. I'm still here. I'm suffering, and you only show up when you want to show up. Was kind of like my mindset with that, and well, it all changed when I showed up to church that morning because we walk in and we're trying a new church. It's Church of the Highlands, if you've ever heard of it. And we go in there, and they're not the traditional church that I was used to. We came from Catholic church, so it was very traditional, very shush shush, sit down. Well, this was not. This was very loud, very upbeat music. People with their hands up in the air, going crazy, right? And nobody Nobody ever will convince me that it was coincidence that the first time I stepped foot back in church after all this drinking, after this loss of Diana and her suicide, after that night on the ledge, nobody will convince me that it was coincidence that the talk was on suicide and what it meant, what the word said about it, and how we handle it. As soon as I knew what the talk was about, I wanted to leave because I knew the conviction in my whole body knew I was about to get a rude awakening by God Himself. Like, this church as a whole might as well be up on stage and me alone in the seats and them talking to me. And it wasn't. I still remember he said word for word, your pain has a purpose and it has an end. And I actually have that tattooed on my arm above my angel wing because those were the words that saved my life. And I still remember to this day, it was not something that came into me. It was not this angelic God being that just unveiled itself into me. It was already inside of me. And I want you to hear that very loud and clear. God didn't send something and it came into me. It was already there and I felt it stood up. It got life. It found life. As soon as he said those words, I regave my life. I remember I put my arms up and I just cried. I apologized. I said sorry. Like, I'm sorry for trashing the body you gave me. I'm sorry for trying to end the life you gave me. And it was instant. And after that, I went back to Huntington, but it was too little too late. There was no saving my baseball career. There was no saving my classes. It was bad. There was no saving it. But I walked away with my soul saved. And as bad as a world I walked back into when I left that church, I was happy. I was at peace. I felt joy because I was going to be okay. For the first time since the call that I got, I felt like I was going to be okay. And I actually again like wanted to dive further into my faith, right? I wanted to explore, okay, I know God's real. I know I'm saved now that God's on my side, that he's not an enemy, and I don't hate him. And I'm trying to make up for the time that I hated him for. I end up uh, going to a Christian camp, Blue Lake Christian camp in Andalusia, to work for them and minister to the youth. And instantly I'm like, yeah, this is great. Okay, like I can help youth. I'm making it up to God, right? That's how I viewed this, was I'm making it up to him. Like, I'm sorry for what I did. I'm sorry for what I was trying to do. Let me make it up to you. Let me put in this work, right? Well, the best thing I got out of that, the best thing I got out of that experience with the camp was actually day like 2. After day 2, I probably could have left that camp, because this was the best thing that I got out of it. Was when we showed up, we had staff week. So for a week, it was just staff. There's no kids, there's no nothing. And it's for us to get closer with each other and find out who each other are and just grow close. Well, like day 2, our boss puts us into like basically the church area of the camp. That's what this place was the church. And there's a stage, and we walk in, and it's like a circle of chairs, right? Instantly, I'm like, oh no, I think I know what's about to happen. Like, the chairs are circled and kind of facing the stage. And he was like, today we're going to find out who you are, who you really are. And he hands each of us a mic, and he's like, who are you? What's your testimony? What's your faith? Why are you here? Why do you think you deserve to be here and minister to the youth? And like, dude, I start sweating bullets. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. I don't want to say anything. And one by one, they go up there, and I just remember I took that mic. I was so nervous that I had a backpack on, and I forgot to take the backpack off because I felt like it was a level of comfort, because I felt like I was being hugged by somebody. And I stood up there like a doofus with a backpack on, and just sat up there and gave my testimony. But that was the first time I professed with my mouth and said, my name's Matthew, and I'm a 19-year-old alcoholic. I don't deserve to be here. And just the fact that I professed that and admitted to, that was the first time I said out loud my issue. That yes, I was an alcoholic. Yes, I'm still not over it. I'm still working on it. And yes, I don't deserve to be here by any means. I don't deserve to be at this camp administering to the youth. And it was just a good experience of being able to profess that and that community take me in and say like they're proud and say that that was awesome and your vulnerability will be rewarded. But here's the other thing I also realized was I've took that whole camp experience as let me make it up to you, God, for the time that I messed up. God doesn't want your works. Works won't get you into heaven. Works doesn't get you his love. Your forgiveness, your love for him, your pursuit of him, that gets you into heaven. Your works doesn't do a thing. Yes, we're called to go out and do great things and reach out to people, but working hard doesn't get you to heaven. Letting God into your life and guide you gets you to heaven. And it took me a while to actually realize that, because after the Christian camp, I actually sort of didn't fall out of my faith, but it eased up. It went stagnant for a while. I didn't pursue him, and because of that, he didn't grow closer to me, and it just kind of remained at a standstill for probably a year. And then I got after, because I transferred out of Huntingdon to West Alabama. So went Huntingdon, the summer was the church camp. Then that next year I'm at West Alabama. I was supposed to play ball but didn't because of an injury, so it's still stagnant. Well, then next year rolls around, I transfer again, and I go to a community college where now I'm playing baseball. I'm finally playing baseball again, and I truly believe it was because I struck a deal I felt with God. And I remember I prayed because I was so hurt when I was at West Alabama and I wasn't playing. I couldn't think of life outside of baseball. And I remember I just prayed to him constantly. Like it was an every night prayer. Like, God, let me say goodbye to the game. Like, give me one more shot. Let me go out on my way, like on my terms, and not because I screwed up that first year. And all of a sudden, Wallace Community College hits me up and gives me an opportunity to play with them. And it was a great year. I loved my year. I loved that team. I loved being back on the field. But things just never caught on for me. Nothing ever progressed. I didn't become a better baseball player. It was just felt like wall after wall after wall, and my injury just held me back. And I just truly believe that was a year of God giving me the ability to say goodbye to what I loved in preparation to get ready and prepare my life for what he loved and what he had planned for me. Because now all of a sudden, as soon as that year ended and I dive in, and now again, once again, I transferred to South Alabama and Mobile. I've gotten tied into church. I'm now a group leader. I'm now a high school youth leader. Midnight Church came out of this, and we are running away with this and growth and stuff. And it just all came full circle. But I won't ever forget the feeling of being that one and being that person that needed the help and being that one person that needed the help but didn't want the help, that was up late at night drinking all the time, turning to stuff that wasn't doing anything but temporary satisfaction and temporary pain fulfillment. It was temporary numbness. Wake up the next day and that numbness is gone and you gotta re-numb it again. I remember being that one, and that's what Midnight Church is all about, is finding that one, reaching out to that one person. If one person hears my message, if one person sees that video, I'm fine with it. I'm happy with that, because I don't know what that one person is dealing with. I don't know how much of an effect those words might have had on that one person. And that goes out to all you guys listening right now. You have no idea how many people hear you in one day, how many people interact with you in one day, how many people are you taking for granted, and you're not realizing that every single day I could change a person's life. I could be that person that turns their life around. And it doesn't take but just a couple words. It doesn't take much. You don't have to do this crazy amount of weightlifting and big profession in their life. Like, you'd be amazed how much telling someone I love you can do, how much saying I forgive you can do, how much saying just I don't know what you're going through. I'm not even going to try to understand, but I'm here for you. All of those are just 3 words and they can change someone's life. How many people are going through you on a daily routine and you haven't tried to change that one person's life? And if you've taken anything from my testimony, anything from my story, please understand that you are never too far gone. There's no such thing as too far. I cursed at God. I hated God. God was my enemy. The next biggest step, honestly, was being a satanist worshiper. Like, I might as well showed up to a Satan cult and done sacrificed a lamb or something. I don't know. But that would have been like the next step. Like, and I stood on a ledge ready to take my life. There's no such thing as too far gone. God was my enemy, and now he's my best friend. And all of a sudden, I went from hating Christians to I'm praising them and trying to reach out to others. There's no such thing as too far. You're not too far. I don't know what your story is. I don't know what your struggle is. But from one to another, I can promise you you're not too far. Not too far gone, and that he's sitting there waiting for you to come back. God doesn't leave us. He never leaves us. We leave God. And if you've lost him, all you gotta do is go back and look at where you left him, because he's still standing there waiting on you to come back. Now, the future of Midnight Church is a big vision. I personally have always thought my future was in baseball, was the first thing, and then I thought it was diving, the next thing, and I still think my life is meant to be in the water, in the ocean, and I still want to be a scuba diver, and I'm thinking military as well. There's different paths I feel like I'm taking, but Midnight Church is the most recent thing that has come up that God has brought out of the blue, and it really is my dream to be able to lead Midnight Church, to reach youth, to reach those ones that are in bed late at night, and do that for a living, do that for the rest of my life, and turn this into my career, if you'll say that. There's no limit to, because every time I see another follower, just one more follower, one more view, all that goes through my head is that's one more alcoholic, that's one more coke addict, that's one more weed smoker addict, that's one more depressed girl, one more depressed boy, that's one more cutter, that's one more liar, that's one more person struggling with financial debt, that's one more person who is on a ledge about to end their life, that's one more drunk driver, that's one more kid who's being bullied, that's one more person that's facing prosecution, that's one more person that feels like they're alone. That's all that constantly goes through my head is that's one more. That's one more. And I don't ever want to see that to stop. I just want it to continue to grow, and I want us all to continue to reach out, and I want to do this for the rest of my life. That's what my vision is for Midnight Church. I want to constantly get better. I want to constantly get bigger. I want to constantly reach out more. I just want growth. That's my biggest desire, is just I want growth. And I just constantly want connection as well. The reason why I feel like Midnight Church is so successful is the connection. The fact that we're on a live stream. You can send a thing in the chat. I can see it live. I can respond to it live. You can send me a DM and I'm going to answer you. I will answer. It's constant connection. It's not like the normal preaching And normal church is where you're listening to a preacher say something, and maybe you have a question pop up in your head, but you can't ask him. You can't get that answered. Excuse me. You can't get that answered. He's up there giving a talk. But in this, you can. This, I can see it and I can respond to it instantly, and you can always get your questions answered. And like that's what I feel like a big success tool of this is. But I just continue want to see this to grow. I continue want to see support, and just like I said, all I care about is that one. All I care about is that one more person. Um, if you want to be a part of this, if you want to help Midnight Church grow, if you want to see us continue to develop, gosh, I've got a list of things and ways I want to improve this and improve the stream setup, improve videos, improve reach out projects, start projects of like reaching out to the homeless and meet and greets that we go out as a group of Midnight Churchers and help people. Gosh, I've got a whole bucket list, but if you want to continue to do that, like continue to help this, the best way to do that is just through your support. When you see a video, like it. When you see a video, share it. When you see a video, comment on it. Share the live streams, share the videos to people, because the message, there's power in the message, and I'm always constantly praying that God and the Spirit speak through me, so that I'm not speaking, but that He just uses my mouth for people to hear it. So when you share His message, not my message, but His message, I believe that's where you're going to see the biggest power come from, the biggest growth come from. And other than that, I'm just going to leave it in His hands. Biggest ways for you to support is rep the merch and go order yourself or the family some merchandise. That's the easiest, quickest thing to financially help Midnight Church. And if you want to give, I know a bunch of y'all have asked about ways to give, and being a TikTok online based church, it's kind of hard to have a good good way for people to give, right? Because otherwise in normal churches you give in person, but we don't have obviously that luxury. So I have set up Venmo and Cash App accounts both for Midnight Church, and if you just search Midnight Church on either one of those, you can go give on there. And obviously I'm blessed and thankful for any support that all of you give, and no matter how big or small, and whether you give or don't give, I love you all the same. Whether you buy merch or don't buy merch, I love you all the same. If you need prayer, if you need a friend, if you need advice, please follow me and message me on my Instagram, and I promise you I'll answer. Ask anybody in this chat right now if they've messaged me before, that I will answer. It might take me a day, might take me 2 days, but I promise you I'll get there. I promise you I'll answer it, and I promise you I care about each and every single one of you, and I will help you and aid you in any possible way that I can. But anyway, guys, I hope you can take something from my story. I hope you can take something from where I see Midnight Church going. And I just pray that I answered maybe any questions you had at all about me, about Midnight Church, about what it's about, what I'm about, where my heart lies. Because if you're going to be a supporter of this, you obviously deserve to know where my heart lies and where it falls. And I hope after tonight now, without a doubt, that you know, and you know where it's at, you know where I'm at, and you know where we're headed and where we're all going together. Yeah, I absolutely love y'all to death. Can't thank y'all enough, seriously. This has been a crazy ride, and I know for a fact that it's only the beginning, that God has an insane plan for Midnight Church as a whole in this community, and I can't wait to take y'all on it, for Him to carry us on this and see where this ends up. But anyways, I'm gonna pray us out, and I'm gonna wish y'all a happy good night, and I hope you sleep very well. And I will see you next week at Midnight Church when I'm back in Mobile again. So thank you, God, for tonight. Thank you for this group of people, God. Just continuing to pray for blessings over each and every individual that can hear my voice right now, that blessings just come into their household, that financial stability is given, financial blessings come out of nowhere, that doors of opportunities open for them, whether that's a job, God, whether that's financial stability, whether that's health, no matter what it looks like, God, that it is given to them in your name. That you just continue to come in and strengthen us and give us hope and lift us up, God, that we lift each other up. Show us how to lift each other up, that you give us the strength to continue on and continue to be a light in this dark world and continue to choose joy and love when people choose hatred and war. That we don't fight, God, that we don't tangle with each other, but we unite. That we love above all. We love everybody equally and the same. That we continue to just press on together in unity, God. That there is no division. That you seal all division that is occurring in our world right now, God. That we continue to come together as not cultures, as not races, but as brothers and sisters of Christ, God, in your name. I'm just praying for healing. I'm praying for love to just overtake the world, God. For you to forgive us, for us to forgive each other, and for us to forgive ourselves. And that our land just be blessed with healing right now. Our world be blessed with healing. All of these things I pray in your holy name. Amen. I love you guys. I'm so grateful for your support. I love you like family. Seriously. Y'all have a good night. Love you. Sweet dreams.